What up, Juggalos? This is Scottie D from FagoLovers.net, and we've got kind of an impromptu interview going on. But first, we had the unfortunate news today that we lost somebody that I consider to be one of the funniest men on the planet. Ralphie May died earlier today, and you might remember him from his legendary performance at the 2012 Gathering of the Juggalos. I had the privilege of seeing him just over 2 months ago here in Dallas, and I've seen a lot of legends on stage, and I have never laughed so hard as when I saw Ralphie May perform. So this is a true comedic loss, and just a overall loss for laughter. So right now, I was hit up by Kung Fu Vampire, who was actually a close friend to Ralphie May, and he wanted to come on and say a few words and share some memories, and so I'm gonna introduce you to him right now. So what up, Kung Fu?
Yo, yo, I'm in London, Ontario right now on tour. Got the news like an hour after it happened that Ralphie had passed away today. Very young, 45 years old. So kind of trapped going crazy in my hotel room right now. Was really upset about it. He's one of the few, friends, famous friends in the industry that I've actually gotten really close to over the last 8 or so years. I've known him quite a while. And actually met Ralphie May because he was a fan of Kung Fu Vampire. That's how I first had met him.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's crazy. Yeah. That's how we actually met. So he actually approached me many years ago, and since then been to his home and many shows together, and he brought me out, let me stay at his house in Las Vegas, where they were basically, they got him a house there because he's doing a
He's got a residency there, right?
residency in 17, and we ended up going out and seeing the show and hanging out with him. And yeah, it's a crazy thing, man. I've known him for a long time, and he's always just been so graceful and gracious. And one thing that's important that I want everybody to know is how much he actually loved Juggalos and would support them. And we would both shoot the shit about Juggalos and how cool they were and how misunderstood they were. And it was just something he always spoke from the heart about when talking with me, and we had actually talked to other people publicly about it, backstage and things like that. He had actually brought it up. So
When I got to speak to him at the show in July, I did ask him about Juggalos. He saw my Hatchet Man hat that I was wearing, and I said, "Man, when are we gonna see you at another gathering?" And he said, they booked him in 2012, and they thought he was gonna flop, like, but he came out and destroyed. And he's like, man, just tell him I'm ready to come back, and I'll be there 100%. So he had an absolute love for Juggalos. I remember him on stage in 2012 saying, hey, you guys are, I know you're having fun. You're tagging up my bus and spraying Fago all over it. Just remember, I got my wife and my kid in there, but I'm down for the cause. You guys are the shit. So he always kind of,
he rolled with the punches,
yeah,
man. He
absolutely.
rolled with the punches. 2012, I was kind of sad I couldn't go to the gathering once Ralphie had told me that he was going to be playing. If I don't know if people follow my career, but I had went out with Potluck and DGAF and did almost 50 dates. I think we did 47 dates. And then I was too tired. I mean, we were just beat. We just got back right before the gathering. And then I had to go out and do the Love Bites tour, which was 50 dates, and I had booked that entire tour myself. That was right there in October. So just the gathering, we had gotten the main stage offering to play, and we just couldn't do it, man. I couldn't gather myself to do it. His experience with the Juggalos, I'll tell you what, it stained his brain big time because he talked about it all the time for years after, and he did want to go back. So it's just a crazy thing, man. It's a lot of people think that because he was like so big, I see a lot of negative and really disgusting comments today after his passing saying, well, he's so big, it makes sense. But if people don't understand, a lot of this was because of pneumonia.
Yeah, that's what they said that he passed from was from pneumonia, and I know that he had been uh, battling his size for forever. They said he was like 800 pounds when he was 16 after a car accident. So, and he had a gastric bypass in 2004. So, I mean, he was trying. I know that his size couldn't have helped the situation, but I mean, still, either whatever happened, it's truly tragic.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people sometimes when they get that big, people think they're just sitting around eating Twinkies and shit. But the truth is that accident is what kind of started it and snowballed it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me now. He grew up in the South. I think he was born in Tennessee and raised in Arkansas. So when did you? I know you said about 8 years ago you guys crossed paths. How did that happen?
He had hit me up and told me how much of a fan he was of mine and that he had bought all my music. And that's like right where how it started. And he knew I was from San Jose and said, "Hey, when I come to San Jose, let's hang out." So
Oh man, that's dope. I mean, that's got it. That had to be a huge shock and honor, man. Like just to have him hit you up at random.
well, yeah, and then I just happened to be a huge comedy fan, and I hadn't really heard much of his comedy. I had heard of him. I knew he was on Last Comic Standing way early, like back in the day. Um, and so for me, it was interesting. Then right when we hung out, we just became friends, almost like on some odd couple shit. But he loved hip hop and he loved juggalo music and he loved rock and he just was into a lot of the same shit I was into. And so we just became friends. And then how our relationship really became funny is every time he came to town, he would be like, "Hey man, come through. I want to give you some money. Go get me some edibles." And I thought he would give me like $50, $100, and he would just drop like $500 or $1,000, $100 bills. He would just be like, "Here's $500. Go get me edibles. Get yourself whatever." I'm like, wow. I'd go get him a bunch of chocolates and gummies and different types of cannabis edibles, and that was what he would do. And funny enough, one of the first times I had seen him, he kind of overdosed on edibles during his show. He did a great job, but he went like an hour too long, and he just killed it. And finally, out of nowhere, he's just like, "Yo, Kung Fu, bro." He's like, "You got me sweating up here. This shit's crazy," like. So it's just one of those things that we became good friends, and it was just a interesting relationship. And we had just spoke 2 days ago, and
Oh man, what was on his mind? Did you know he was sick?
he was sick, yeah, and he had been canceling a couple of the shows, I guess, and we were just bullshitting about cantaloupe and melon because he kept saying he didn't like melon, and I kept telling him to try canary melon because that's what I like, and he actually tried and said he's like, it's pretty good. He's like, I like it. He just hated cantaloupe and honeydew and all the shit, so we just bullshitting, but it was really light, and I told him I wanted him to come back out one more time to Vegas and see him before the year is up, and I had just bought my ticket to go out there, later on this year, probably November. I know he's going to be there the whole year, so I had went in April, basically on St. Patty's Day to go see him, and he killed it. I mean, 2 hours of stand-up at Harrah's, sold out on a Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. And every night, I couldn't believe he's just packing the house at Harrah's. It's unreal. But I grew to love the guy as a friend and as a comedian, and just overall great guy.
One thing that I noticed in seeing him live a few times is that obviously comedians that I like, kind of blue collar guys are always push the envelope, but man, he continuously, just pushed it just to the edge where it was almost cringeworthy, and but then he'd just bring it back, like he'd see how far he could push it, and then he'd try to bring the crowd back into it, make sure that we're still with him, and he just was just a master of his craft. And I mean, again, I had never laughed as hard as I did just back this past July seeing him live, and I would have never known that. I mean, who would have ever thought that we wouldn't have a chance to see him again, so soon.
It's funny you had said that about the cringeworthy thing, because he would often do that, like in front of people. He would call me Beaner and say just crazy shit. He would just say crazy. He would use the N word all the time, like not in a bad way, just like he just was so, he would try to push the envelope. And I remember his whole bit in Vegas was so interesting because it was this whole bit that took a full circle. I wonder if he did the same one when you saw him a couple months ago, and at the end he tied the whole story together.
Yes,
and it was just
brilliant.
Like a movie,
Yeah.
a whole movie.
Yeah.
It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And some people think, oh, he's just this kind of comedy, that kind of comedy, and really, man, he was next level. And I know a lot of people thought he was just shock, but if you actually go see his stand-up, you just die laughing. Period. And yeah, dude, he's a good dude, man. And I just want to dedicate my show tonight to him and the rest of the tour to him. And it's just crazy. One of the few people I'm close to, dies while I'm on the hardest tour I've ever been on in my life. And I know a lot of people cherished him, and man, everybody he touched. I introduced him to a lot of people. So I introduced him to Mars and my friend Tara and a bunch of my friends, my girl, and everybody met him through me in my circle and loved him. Just instantly became attached to the guy.
Yeah, and as shocking as his comedy is, you could not find like a nicer person. He was one of the sweetest guys that you could ever meet, and he was humble and like so appreciative of his success and just you being a fan. And another thing that that I loved about him.
Yeah, man. He was like underground guy, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
He was an underground guy. So weird. It's like his career, he came up like an independent rapper. You know, it's how he came up. He did the last comic standing thing, came in second place, I think, to Dat Fan, and ended up, in my opinion, obviously passing Dat Fan up big time, like just next level. Dat Fan stayed pretty big too, but I mean, Ralphie just murdered it. You know, he came out just crazy, and you know, it's like he had this respect for underground hip hop and the Juggalo movement because of the way he came up so many years before you had ever heard of Ralphie May. I mean, he's 45 years old, so before you had ever even heard of him, he had been doing comedy 15 years, 20 years, you know? So, and that's what a lot of us do. I started as a teenager, and I'm just now getting, like, major notoriety worldwide and being known as, like, not just underground artist, but an actual known artist, and it's like, dude, I've been doing this since I was 14, you know? Like, it's just seeing him do that, it gives people like us hope. You know what I mean? Like, yo, this guy, it just takes that long sometimes, you know, and man, miss the guy like crazy.
Well, we'll briefly touch on your the tour you've got going on, but before we do that, do you want to say any final words about Ralphie?
You know what? I don't know how many specials he's got on Netflix right now, but I just want everybody go check out his specials. One thing about this guy, man, last couple times I saw him, I never said it out loud. I never said anything, but in my head it was kind of like, it was more not an if, but a when. I just kind of felt like his time was coming near, the stress of his divorce. I don't know why. I never said it out loud. I'm saying it now. I don't mind saying it. I don't mind being honest and just true about it. Last time I hung out with him, there was just a darkness around him, sadness that was hard to digest. You know, he hung out with us for a long time. We hung out for hours, 5, 6 hours after the show, a few hours. And he just, sadness, he was pretending like he wasn't, but he was. Everything getting ripped away from him by whatever, the situation with his divorce. I don't want to dip into their personal life, but, you know, missing his kids. And he definitely loved doing the residency at Harrah's. He loved having a blast with it. And even between his residency, he would fly out and do other shows. So it was just wild, man. He was just working too hard. And just know, you know, man, he fucking died from working too hard. You know, he caught pneumonia and didn't stop. He was supposed to take a longer break and rest, and he didn't. And we lost a good one today, you know. That's crazy. You know, we lose a lot of people. We've been losing crazy people, so much negativity in the world. And it's always different when it's somebody you know and somebody you love. So,
For sure.
yeah, check out his specials on Netflix and remember him. You know, as a good person. He loved everybody.
Yeah, rest in peace, Ralphie. On another note, I know that you're out on the tour, on your tour right now with Locksmith. You're currently in Canada. You got a couple more dates in Canada, right? And then you come back to the U.S. to, well, you got about 2-3 more weeks left of this tour?
Yep, 3 more weeks. I'm counting the days, 2.5 weeks. I'm in London tonight, London, Ontario. Tomorrow is Windsor, Ontario. And then on the 8th is our last day, Toronto, Ontario at Nocturne. And then we're in, this is kind of interesting, we're in Detroit, technically Chesterfield, right?
Yep.
We're going to be at Diesel in Chesterfield on Monday the 9th.
Great venue.
Which is the night before. Yeah, is it? Okay, we're there the night before the Lars music video shoot.
Oh, hell yeah.
So at the same venue. We're performing at the same venue the night before their shoot. So the next day on the 10th, we will be in their video at the shoot.
Oh, that's
and
badass.
Then on the yeah, it worked out crazy. On the 11th, we will be in Columbus, Ohio at Club Voodoo. I'm going to run through these dates because it's important that we people know because we are truly underground. On the 13th, we're in Cleveland, Ohio at Odeon. On the 14th, we are at Front Row Live in Kokomo, Indiana. On the 15th, we're in Evansville, Indiana at PG. On the 16th, we are in Liberty, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, at Club 906. On the 17th, we're in Wichita, Kansas, at the Elbow Room. On the 18th, we're in Greeley, Colorado, at Joe's Place. On the 19th of October, we are at Colorado Springs at Union Station. On the 20th, we return to Denver, Colorado, at the Roxy. On the 21st, we are in Salt Lake City, Utah at Club X. And the tour ends on the 22nd in Elko, Nevada at Cowboys. We've got Locksmith with us, Gods of Chaos, and Alista Raw for the U.S. dates. So Yeah, man. Check out kungfuvampire.com to get the full scope. Grab your tickets. Come out. This is my last headlining tour for a very long time, probably at least a year and a half. So,
wow. And then what do you got? What do you got in the works in that next year and a half then?
doing a lot of singles, doing a new album, doing a lot of new videos, a lot of love, a lot of things going on, a lot in the works. But I need to take some time to focus on that and family, and just making sure the new record is just mind blowing. So that's the focus.
All right, that sounds good, man. So yeah, kungfuvampire.com/tour for all the tour dates and your ticket links. Go out and see him and support him. And for one last time, rest in peace, Ralphie May. Man, what a tragedy. And remember him. And yeah, check out his specials and continue showing love.
Yeah, man. Much love. Rest in peace, Ralphie. Much love, Fago lovers.
All right, thanks.
All right, Scotty. We'll talk soon, brother.